from high atop 1926 Hollywood Boulevard, you're listening to SoFloRadio.com. SoFloRadio.com presents CEOmanship, becoming a leader in today's business world, with your host, Steve Gordon, CEO of Gordon Partnership Group, an international business consulting firm specializing in CEO bootcamp, sales team training, as well as client growth and retention. Visit GordonPartnershipGroup.com. Gordon Partnership Group. Your success is our business. And now, here's your host, Steve Gordon.
Wow, George, here we are. Once again, another Monday.
Here we are.
Whoa,
my mic's hot.
You know, it's nice to see you out of that catatonic tryptophan post-Thanksgiving
I actually felt
slumber.
it coming on this year. I don't know about you, but I actually felt the waves of sleepiness hit me. The chemical from the all-tryptophan.
Yes. Well, look at you
It
sounding
was
so
like,
smart
wow,
today.
it feels like I took a soma.
Anyway, well, I'll just leave that alone. We have a lot to talk about.
I have a prescription. It's legal.
Did you have a nice
Yeah,
Thanksgiving?
carpal tunnel syndrome. That's true. I did have a nice Thanksgiving. Thank you. My daughter, beautiful daughter and husband, hosted Thanksgiving. So yeah, lots of turkey, leftover turkey. So I got the trip the following day as well.
Oh, I love that. And, you know, normally we don't tap on the shoulder of Mark Anoff, our social media expert, this early in the show. But Mark had the opportunity to spend Thanksgiving with my wife, Lori, who's sitting next to me. For those of you who are watching on the video feed, we'll hear from Lori in a second. And our family. And I'd like to say no crazy uncles at our party, right?
There were no crazy uncles.
Wow, he did that right.
But you had a couple crazy aunts, I think.
I think so. Yeah. You know, from our friends at grapeswine.com, who sponsors this show very often, they sent us 2 cases of Thanksgiving wine packages. And yeah, there were a couple of family members who tapped into that pretty well. But that's okay. Anyway, my name is Steve Gordon, and I am the CEO of the Gordon Partnership Group. And CEOmanship is the radio show for business owners and CEOs. And so if you're a business owner or you're a CEO and you'd like to be featured on CEOmanship, you can certainly contact us at steve@gordonpartnership.com. That's GORDON partnership, PARTNERSHIP.com. Also, don't forget to visit CEOmanship.com. That's CEOmanship.com after this show, so you can download a copy of today's episode, or you can watch or listen to past episodes in our archive section. And, of course, George, you know this is our favorite part, the podcast section. This is where, if you'd like to listen to the episodes on your pod...
Or pod-like device.
Any type of electronic device that transmits radio waves, I think. You can go to the iTunes section, podcast section of iTunes, and you can search for CEOmanship and then hit the subscribe button. And this way, each week... the current episode will be downloaded directly into your device for your listening pleasure.
How fun. How easy.
You could have done better than that.
Sorry. It's very easy. I was the one that told you.
Anyway.
My microphone disappeared on me.
Your microphone disappeared. Anyway, you know, I love podcasts. I tell this every week. I like to listen to not only mine, but other people's, and you can do this. What's great about it is that it's there on your iPhone or your device, and you can just listen on your headphones while you're working out or walking around the house or doing other things, and you never have to think about it because it's just delivered right to your device. Anyway, over the past several weeks, in fact, pretty much every week now, we are getting more and more emails from business owners, and they're asking us how they can have someone from Gordon Partnership come to work with their company, to speak to their company, to coach. As you know, one of the things we do at Gordon Partnership is a CEO bootcamp. We work with corporations to help them to grow their business and to get out of that sort of stagnant phase and to grow to the goals that they desire. And so if you're interested in learning more about having some consultation or sales team training or speaker, we've spoken to groups in the thousands and also one-on-one. Just contact us again. You can go to Gordon Partnership, that's GORDON partnership.com, and just fill out the contact us form. We'll be glad to get back to you within 24 hours. A little shameless self-promotion. On Facebook, we're Gordon Partnership. On Twitter, it's Follow Steve Gord, because Twitter doesn't allow the O-N. On Instagram, Gordon Partnership. LinkedIn, just search for Steve Gordon, Gordon Partnership. Again, the iTunes podcast library, CEOmanship, and our website, GordonPartnership.com. And today, our show is brought to you in part by the Homeowners Network. That's homeownersnetwork.us. Think about this. I asked you this last week, so I will ask you again, Mark Anoff. imagine you own a home. I mean, maybe you do own a home. So
I do.
You own a home, and you think that someday you might choose to sell that home, either you or your estate, but somebody will sell that home, right?
Correct.
And so imagine, would you choose to use a real estate professional, a broker from your local community, or one from like Ohio?
I'd use a local one.
You would. It makes sense because they have the local contacts, the clientele. So what the great folks at the smarthomeownersnetwork.us did is they partnered up with all the local brokers, or many of them, in your home community. And they say, Mark, if you will do just one thing, if you join our network, which is free for you to join, just go to Smart Homeowners Network, or Homeowners Network, that is, .us, and you simply fill out the little form, your name, your address, where you live, a little bit about your house, single family, etc. And then you agree that if, not required, but if you decide to sell your home at some point in the future, you just use a broker from their network, they will give to you up to $10,000 over the next several years that you can spend as you choose now, because at the end of the day, the broker that you choose will send that company back a little thank you note, and they'll reimburse them for the $10,000 they paid you or whatever they gave you, plus a little bit more as a thank you for the client. So it's a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
So with the holidays coming up, it's like getting a little gift every year for the next 3 to 5 years, and what a great way to get a little free money. So why not? You're going to get paid to do something you're going to do. Anyway, I want to jump right into today's show because we have a really special guest. In fact, this person is really, really important. In fact, the most important person in my life. You've heard her call in just about every week on the show, except for the last couple of weeks. We'll tell you why in a minute. But Lori Gordon, the founder of Simply Lori Gordon, and probably almost as important, my wife, and certified holistic health coach. Let me just tell you a little bit about Lori. I'm going to read this. You don't know what I'm going to say. This is good. I hope I do a good job. So, Lori received her training as a holistic health coach from the very prestigious Institute of Integrative Nutrition. It's called IIN. And right now, IIN is probably, if not, the world's largest accredited nutrition college anywhere. And Lori studied with over 100 dietary theories, practical lifestyle management techniques, innovative coaching methods. In fact, you worked with some of the top health and wellness experts, including the very, very famous Dr. Andrew Weil. You also worked with Deepak Chopra. And you also worked with David Katz. I love David Katz. I love them all. I happen to listen to some of your courses. And also Walter Willett. And Janine Roth, who I also thought was phenomenal. I loved all the stuff that you did. And with this education, Lori's become equipped to with extensive knowledge in holistic nutrition, health coaching, and preventative health. And Lori works with clients, predominantly, I would say women, but men as well, but predominantly women, to help them make lifestyle changes that produce real and lasting results. So, hey, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you actually here in the studio instead of calling in.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Wow, I really appreciate it. So, did you?
Glad you finally. Yeah, about time you let her talk.
Well, usually I go a little bit longer.
Very different experience being here in person.
Yeah, it is. It's it's very intimidating with George and
it's
with
very
Mark.
intimidating.
I'm a very small statured person. I shouldn't intimidate anybody. Mark, on the other hand.
Yes, well, my 12'4" frame is awfully big.
First time I met Mark, I thought he was Wilford Brimley, so I was very impressed.
Thanks.
As for those of you who've been listening for a long time, you know that Lori pretty much calls in every week and asks questions, grills our guests, etc. And for the last couple of weeks, you haven't been here calling in.
I have not been.
And you had some surgery, and that is the premise for a lot of what we're going to talk about today. Okay,
it is.
I'll just
We're
keep
looking
talking.
forward to it.
You can see we didn't rehearse this. So, I think it's important that our audience knows a little bit about, I thought maybe our story, because in appearance it's a fairy tale story, and in reality it really is too. But like everybody else, we've got our challenges. We've gone through our challenges. When I first met you, you had a marketing company. And it was Alliances with Lori.
Alliances with Lori. I had started that business about 10 years ago. just because I was working for the Ridgefield paper in Ridgefield, Connecticut. And one of the small town business owners said to me, you should start your own marketing company. And I said, really? And he said, let me tell you what you should do. Since you know so much about marketing and marketing budgets, you should approach small businesses with a big business mentality. So I did. And I started alliances with Lori. And, I actually turned it into money. And it was amazing.
Listening to you and knowing you now, I don't find that amazing at all, because you have an uncanny ability to get done whatever it is you want to get done. You set your goals and you get there.
That's what we all should do.
Yeah, when I met you, I was running a direct marketing business. I still have that business today, where I recruited and I hired and I trained a global sales team. And as I mentioned, our story was a bit of a fairy tale.
Steve, you were doing a presentation at a hotel in a room, in a conference room.
Yeah, you better say conference room, because our
in a
parents could be
conference room,
listening.
yep. Where I was sitting, I think, in one of the first few rows, and the room was filled with about 100 people.
You were sitting in the front row.
In the front row,
You
okay. And I was really intrigued at your energy and your intelligence and your personality, and thought you were very smart.
Normally I would interrupt you with another question, but please continue. So we did. We met. I was doing a training seminar. You were in the audience, and in fact, George, this is really funny.
It was just a short 5 years ago.
It was a short 5 years ago. So Lori is in the front row, and I'm asking questions of the audience, and Lori is up there with her hand going, "Ooh, pick me," and I don't want to seem like I'm interested in this very attractive woman in the front row, so I would point behind her and I'd say, the other woman behind the blonde going, "Oh, pick me." And it's kind of a running joke now 5 years later. Lori's like, why didn't you pick me? And I'm like, I did. Ultimately, I did pick you.
Right. We've played this story over and over and over again. We've talked about it. It's funny because I played that same game right back with Steve. After that meeting, everybody jumped up and ran over to Steve and wanted to talk to him, get his insights on this company and building a business. And I stood up, and I think he looked at me and I looked at him, and I turned around and I walked out the door. And then I called his best friend.
That would be the last time. It's funny. It's not funny, but wherever we seem to go, and it sounds a little bit self-serving again, but people say they've never met a couple that seems more dynamic and more in love. I
think there are more dynamic out there.
I don't know.
And probably just as in love.
But you know what? Our life has certainly not been without issues and without sort of serious stressors. And I think that's, as a health coach, really important for people to understand. It's not necessarily the challenges that life throws you, but how you deal with them.
I think I ended up where I am today, doing what I'm doing in the health coaching industry because of what happened over the last 5 years. So we have had a very, very challenging 5 years. It has not been a walk in the park.
I actually took some time to write down a few of the things that we've been through in 5 years since we've known each other. And I think it's important for our audience to listen, because when you realize that whatever it is you're going through, other people are going through their own challenges, I think it's important to know that you can come out the other side, and a lot of it is, positive mental attitude.
Which is the message that we completely always talk about, right? No matter what we're doing at the beginning of every week or whatever we're trying to accomplish, we talk about, setting goals, and we talk about something positive happening and attracting the positive, and always waking up and feeling like we can tackle whatever it is that is thrown our way.
So I want to review some of these things, because I think it's important for us to recognize where we came from too.
I'm afraid to hear that list.
Well,
I have no idea what you've written.
So I remember early on, my mother was sick, and
right.
very, very first weekend that you had moved into your new apartment.
I had moved out of my house from Wilton, Connecticut.
You did, and
which was a sad day.
It was a sad day. It was a beautiful home, but it was the beginning of something else.
New relationship with Steve Gordon.
There you go. And yet I'm down for my mother's funeral, and you call me the day before the actual funeral, and you had suffered a very, very serious dog bite.
I sure did. I was had just moved, and there's a picture.
For
that's
those of you
probably
watching
about
the
2 weeks
video,
later. It's not as bad as it was. I think it's pretty gruesome.
You know what's crazy? Do you remember when you took that picture in to get developed because you needed it for a legal issue?
Right.
And what did the guy at CVS who was developing it said what to you?
He said, "I never comment on pictures, but I have to ask you, were you bit by a shark?" And I'm thinking, where are the sharks in Campo Beach
right,
in
Long Island
Westport,
Sound.
Connecticut?
Well,
But anyway, yeah, that was not a good moment. I was walking with my daughter.
I think George can take that off the screen now.
I was trying to get used to my new surroundings. I went from a pretty large home to a very small apartment. My daughter was going off to college. I was single, and very, very concerned about my life, and walking down a path and attacked by 2 black labs.
Right, and everybody says to us, "Oh, but Labrador Retrievers are just very docile dogs."
Docile dogs. That's
Docile
what we
dogs.
hear over and over.
Well,
They just don't do that.
Let me continue down this list because we have so much we want to cover today. We ended up. I went through the finalization of my personal divorce. Your daughter, our daughter, but your only child, biologically, went off to college, and she is the light of your life. And that was very, very challenging for you.
I'm still trying to get over it. It's 4 years later.
4 years later, right? Let's see what else. We moved into a home where we found out that our landlord was in a serious issue where both the mother and father actually were in jail.
Legal issue. Yes,
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We were caught in the middle of, we had just moved into this beautiful home after we had moved out of 2 apartments and then merged into one after we had serious discussions, right?
Right.
And moved into a house, and then all of a sudden had people knocking at our door saying the landlord had owed money to them as contractors.
Well, it gets even worse.
It does.
Because it turns out that we didn't recognize, but not only was the husband of this couple, who we had never met, in jail, and that's why we never met him, but about a year into, not even less than a year into living in that home, we found out that the wife, who had 3 children and actually was pregnant with the 4th because the husband was home on leave for one weekend because his father had passed away, and they gave him the weekend for the funeral. So she got pregnant with a 4th child.
It's a very responsible thing to do, right?
Right. So she ended up in jail. And so you, being the incredible nurturer that you are, took really serious ownership of this issue and could say, who's going to take care of these children? And we actually even talked about personally maybe even adopting the kids for some time. And a local family from church, their church, offered to take the children. But still, you really loved these children and felt, horrible for them. And
Well, they became a part of our lives. The landlord, the female landlord, before she went to prison, became a part of our lives. We were having, chicken salad sandwiches in our kitchen, and she loved mine. And we made them often, and I made pancakes for the kids and French toast, which I made
by the
for
way,
my
these
nieces.
were gluten-free, sugar-free pancakes because you're a holistic health coach.
Sometimes. But anyway, we became close, and we had a unique relationship, and it was really great getting to know her, and I loved her kids, and they loved you, Steve.
I know.
They really
They were
loved you.
sweetheart kids.
So we couldn't turn our back on them.
We couldn't. Mark, do you want to ask?
Well, I was just going to say that if you really want to adopt, you can adopt George and I.
Well, I know after our Thanksgiving
I'm
meal,
sure.
you're up for it for sure.
Just so I can change my name, because, I always wanted to have a cool name. Like 2 first names would be great for
Like
radio.
Steve Gordon?
Yeah, like Steve Gordon.
There you go. So let's just keep rolling with this. We have a family member who for 8 years has been facing a very, very serious challenge, and that has weighed very heavily on us. And by the way, when I talk about these things, the issue with the landlord, the issue with the family member, these are all things that we're get it done people. And I think that when there's an issue, we look at each other and go, okay, how can we fix it?
Well, these are all things that are going on while you're trying to get through your divorce, while we're trying to transition our lives, while we're planning a wedding, while we're trying to grow a Melaleuca business, right? Mm-hmm. While we're trying to build Gordon Partnership to what it is right now.
Right.
While we are trying to plan for a future and save some money to buy a house or figure out where we're going to buy a house and figure out how we're going to pay our ex-wife, right?
There you go. Speaking of our ex-wife,
How we have to build that into the
let's talk
monthly
about
income.
another serious issue, which was, the fact that I have been the victim of a very serious. The judge in the New York State court would say it was not parental alienation. Of course, she didn't walk in my shoes.
Well, the judge was female.
Yes, and
Let's not
so
forget
so
that.
regardless of what you call it, there's been some serious alienation of my children, and then who I love,
Alienation, for sure.
whom I've loved and loved from the minute they were born, and it kills me every single day. So, and I know it bothers you because you're a mother and a nurturer, and you can't understand how anybody could do that.
Beyond words. We can't even.
We don't want to
discuss
depress our audience here,
what
but
we've been through.
I don't want to send everybody into a major, Xanax run right now, but I do want to, continue to just explain these things. So all of this caused you faced a situation. You had a skin disease, a skin rash, seriously medicated for a while. I know it's bumming you out when I say this because you're going back in your mind. Sometimes you would be asleep by 6 o'clock in the evening, always cold, dealing with the winter blues. 5 moves from home to home to home to home in 4 years, and much more. Yet, despite of that, we had an amazing wedding in Hawaii.
We sure did, and we planned it all from afar, from Connecticut, and it was just beautiful.
Oh, for those
It
of you,
was the cherry on top of the ice cream.
Oh,
It was amazing. I don't think we even knew it was going to be as beautiful as it was. We had it live streamed, George. So we had,
Of course.
Steve figured that out and hired a really great guy, and we had friends and family watching, and my mother and father calling afterwards saying, "Oh my goodness, we just saw you get married." And my father was really excited. It was great to hear from everybody afterward. My sister was taking pictures of the screen that she was watching the wedding on and sent it to us later on. And friends in a live chat from home. And it was just great. It was a fairy tale wedding for sure.
well, and despite everything we've been
best
through,
wedding I've ever
I
been
have to
to.
tell you that I can speak for myself, but I think I can speak for you to say more in love every day, and we grow together, and it's an amazing relationship. And I think that, we'll talk about how that all happens. You became a certified holistic health coach. You went through that whole process with IIN, which was an amazing school.
It was a tough decision to make. We were trying to figure out our move. I knew that we were going to be moving within a year and a half. We had, financial responsibilities, and paying for me to go to school wasn't really something that we were, planning on doing, but we did it. And yeah, we made it happen. I think we both got that degree.
We did. Well, I didn't get the degree because I just got to listen to the courses online. But it was great. And then we merged, businesses from Alliance with Lori to Alliance with Lori and Steve. Thank you.
Yes.
And then we just
was
went
right
out there and
about
just got
that.
clients. And then we changed it to the Gordon Partnership Group as we added
Right.
new services and then of course your sister just texted in the middle of the show to say, "Oh, we're watching you guys."
Oh, wow.
So hi, honey.
Hi, Steph.
Hi, Steph. Anyway.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
So anyway, I want to turn this into the topic of the day, which is cosmetic surgery, elective surgery. Why that's an important topic for you? You had some serious surgery that was just done. I know you're going to talk about that in a minute, but maybe before you do that, this is very dear and near to your heart because many years ago, when you started Alliance with Lori, you were really focused on the image industry, or how would you?
Well, I was introduced to a group of plastic surgeons in Connecticut that had offices in parts of Connecticut and New York City. And exclusively, I started to work with this group. And so I kind of want to say that I became a little bit immune to having plastic surgery, but no, not like one of those women that, has plastic surgery.
So not like Michael
Over
Jackson.
and over again. No, absolutely not. But I sat with these doctors and we talked about the reason why women and men were having procedures done.
Let's talk about that for a minute because it's not just women these days. It's men too, and there's a lot of reasons. We talk about this all the time because we are business consultants in addition to you being a health coach. And so, what when you're out there, what do you hear from people? Why are people getting, cosmetic surgery?
Well, I'll go back to some of the conversations that I had with these plastic surgeons who were really businessmen. They were surgeons, but they loved to talk about, the business aspect of what they were doing and why people were doing it. And, the amount of baby boomers that were re-entering the workforce that had lost everything that they had. They didn't even have their home as an investment, so they had to get back in, and they needed to compete with somebody that was a lot younger than them. So they needed to look good. And we started to talk about men doing facial plastic surgery, and I'm happy to mention on the air Dr. Neil Gordon, who is no relation to us at all. I just happen to marry a Gordon. I worked with him for several years, did his website, which is The Retreat at Split Rock, and worked on it over and over again. We talked about, why women do anything that they do these days, from their face right down to their toes. And there's a lot of work in between.
Well, I think there's another piece to this. It's not just, there are two pieces. And the part that we want to focus on, of course, from a business perspective, because this is a business show, is that, yes, men and women are competing with the younger workforce. You just had a conversation the other day with a woman who said to you, I've been at my job for X number of years. I don't want to mention the company because I don't think it's right, but she's been with a very, very, very big company. She's in the top, probably. She's number one woman in the entire company.
She is the number one lead counsel, we believe, and though she doesn't hold a position with the company as their lead counsel, but she's got a law degree. She's amazing. I went to one of her events. She talked about facial plastic surgery, and she talked about that specific issue, that competing with some of the younger people that are coming in seems very hard for her. She just doesn't want to seem old and sort of washed out.
I think it's very difficult because you do want to feel like you're in the mix and you're with the young group, and you don't want to feel like that older person, even if you are. It's harder. I think, men sort of have that stigma of being able to look distinguished, as we get a little older.
That's exactly true, Steve. It's true. We used to talk about that all the time. It's okay for men to have that little, those lines in between their eyebrows, but it's not okay for women to have a line on their face.
But the other piece of this puzzle is this.
Supposedly.
With a divorce rate in the 50+%, you've also got men and women who are out there competing in the personal arena as well.
Exactly, which is why women put, their picture from 20 years ago on Match.com.
I wouldn't know.
So nobody really wants to put up what they look like now, especially if they're
George
40
didn't say
plus.
he didn't know.
I haven't gone on a dating site yet.
But all of this ties into health and wellness, and there's a story here. And if we put this together in a timeline, it could show the reasons possibly why I ended up going in the direction that I'm in right now.
So let's do this. We're running up against a hard break. And so what I want to do is when we come back after commercials, I'd like to talk a little bit about your personal experience. I also want to talk about, we're going to talk about breast augmentation and why so many people do this, the challenges they face, the issues that could come up with breast augmentation and breast surgery.
What women want to know.
What women need to know.
Right.
And because it's, the numbers are staggering, and I looked at some of the reports that you provided me with before the show, I could not believe what I saw. And I know you want to share a personal story, which is the reason that you were out for the last couple of weeks and almost didn't make it in today.
Right.
So let's leave our audience hanging on that for just a minute. We'll be right back. My name is Steve Gordon. I am the CEO of the Gordon Partnership Group, and this is CEOmanship on SoFloRadio.com.
More CEOmanship with Steve Gordon next on SoFloRadio.com.
Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now, 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
By the Glass.
By the Glass is a show about beverage culture.
Brad Hubbard.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the dots on how everything works together. It's really all about how we enjoy things, how we enjoy life, and how beverages play a big part in that. I'm going to bring in people that are going to display their aspect of the culture. I'm going to bring in people that are going to show you different products. We're going to look at places where people go to consume these beverages and how they all interact. Things are built around the actual beverage itself.
By the Glass. Thursdays from 6 to 7. Only on SoFloRadio.com.
Now, back to CEOmanship with Steve Gordon on SoFloRadio.com.
We are back. Wow, that was really fun watching that trip down memory lane that our viewers were watching. I was particularly intrigued. I laughed when I saw the picture of you and I in front of
Capitol?
the Capitol building. Yes, thank you. It's age. And that was a trip that took us 3 days. Right. It took us 3 days to drive home from Florida. Everybody kept saying, "Where are you?" And we were just having so much fun. We stopped everywhere. And this photographer came up to us and he just said, I'm a professional photographer and I just took this picture and I'd like to take a few more. And I thought, what's he going to hit us up for the bill for like $100? But he didn't. He just said, I love this picture and I wanted you to have it. And he said, give me your email.
It's very different than the paparazzi in Central Park.
Yes, exactly. Or, when
They
the
email you and
Gumby
say,
walks
"You
up
can
to you
have
in
these
Times
for
Square and
$1,000."
says, let me take a picture with you. And then they go, hello, where's the tip?
Right.
So let's bring our audience up to speed. So you are a certified holistic health coach. You use food to heal, and you work with people on all levels to help them to become better and healthier, and to hopefully avoid disease. Be proactive versus reactive.
Absolutely. I try to use food to heal. I use food on a regular basis to keep myself healthy or to give my body the fuel that it needs. It's very similar to putting the wrong gas in your car. You don't want to do that.
That's true. And often I'll say to you, would you like me to get you something? And you're like, I'm thinking you're going to say, yeah, how about a bagel or something? It's something easy that I can actually make. And you'll be like, yeah, could you go down to the kitchen and just throw 1 carrot, a slice of ginger, a couple of pieces of celery, an apple, and
you did a great job the other day.
And
it
by
was
the way,
delicious.
thank you. And don't forget the beet stalks, the leaves from the beets that we bought at the farmer's market.
As weird as that sounds, I do believe in everyone is different. It's something called bioindividuality. And my approach to myself and my own lifestyle may not be what might be great for Mark or for you, Steve, because you're a man.
Thank you for finally recognizing that.
Realized that a long time ago. But I do also have my cheat day on Sundays, and we know that because I'm not going to say where I go on Sundays or where I start my day.
If you
but it rhymes with Egel.
Right, exactly. It rhymes with Egel. Well, yeah, but if you want to text us or email us or just call into the studio audience, we could probably tell you what that cheat food is. It's not good, but you know what? It keeps you on track for the other 6 days.
You know
what's
interesting? What I realized yesterday when we had our cheat day, because we did have it, right?
Yes, we did.
We did. And I want to know why you have a cheat day 4 out of 7 days.
Because I'm a man.
Because I noticed that we got 2 of those Egels yesterday.
Well, because I can't let you suffer alone.
Okay.
So
when I had mine yesterday, I realized, you know what, Steve, we should probably start sharing one of those.
We can't. You know why we can't? You know why we can't do that? Because I like a different type of cream cheese spread than you do.
Well, I think we should alternate or have them cut it in half and put the salmon cream cheese on one half and the scallion cream cheese on the other.
Schmear Wars. Schmear Wars. You got to turn your mic up for that, but Schmear Wars, that's pretty funny.
Because the truth of the matter is I didn't really eat my whole flagel, which I love. I love in everything flagel. And everybody knows that if you take the inside out of the bread, it's not as fattening, right?
That's a great idea.
Not if you keep eating it.
Wrong.
put more Nova in there if you do.
So let me jump to the point of our show here, because we could talk about ourselves and actually my phone is blowing up. I wish these people would be calling in actually instead. Why don't you give the number?
954-990-0036.
954-990-0036. If you want to call in, we are on the topic now of cosmetic surgery. Lori, you
Would love to hear from someone.
I can't tell you who's calling in, but there's some good texts.
Wow.
Anyway, but let's talk a little bit about 5 years ago. You made a decision.
Yes, I made a decision 5 years ago to fall in love with you.
I love
Actually, I did. I met Steve, and I had planned. I'm almost embarrassed to say this today because of what I believe in. We drank out of these glass jars.
You know what's so funny? I was going to just talk about that. We're so in tune.
So anyway, Steve recently said to me, "It's interesting, Lori. You will not drink out of plastic, but you had plastic in your body." Oh.
You haven't told them why you have plastic in your body, honey.
Love this song.
I know.
So as I was working with the plastic surgeons, I want to say became a little bit immune to the fact that, I could have a couple of enhancements made and look great as I started to age.
Couple.
And one of the doctors that I admired, and I
The
still
ears
do
do
today,
look good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Said, I can't turn back time, but I can stop the clock a little bit. So I said, okay. And I think I was a little bit braver in my 40s than I am in my 50s. But 5 years ago, I decided to have breast augmentation done. And I did an over the muscle, which I was bragging about, silicone breast implant. And it looked very natural. We have that picture, don't we, George?
You know what? I am
just kidding.
No, don't put that.
As he looks,
I
Just
object.
kidding. Steve has
You know
that.
what? Yeah, I have that. But now your parents are listening.
That's
You're
a
gonna
good
go,
one.
Where is it?
Sorry,
you know
Dad.
what? I'm proud of you, because that's really brave to get on the radio and TV, and this will be on iTunes and everywhere else to talk about this. But it's really important because as a health coach, there is sort of the doctor who did your work did a beautiful job, and since this happened like pretty much before I knew you, I'd like to personally say thank you. If I can do
We
that.
had a good run.
We did.
That's for
but
sure.
You know what?
We had a good 5 years, but those are gone now, and I'm wearing what I'm wearing today for those of us that can see what I'm wearing, because I'm half the person I was 2 weeks
honey,
ago.
You are 5 million times the person. You are beautiful, and you're amazing, and you're smart, and not defined by implants.
Well, absolutely not. But, let's talk about the fact that they don't tell you what you really need to know.
Let's talk about some of those facts. I'm going to read a couple of things and then jump in anytime and just start to comment.
And Steve, also not only just having breast implants put in, but having them taken out. That's what I meant. They don't tell you what you need to know. It's hard to sit here today. I feel like I have 100 pounds on my chest.
In the year 2013, there were almost 300,000 women and teenagers who underwent surgery to have their breasts enlarged with silicone or saline implants, and almost 100,000 breast cancer patients had reconstruction surgery after mastectomies. All right, but let's talk about this. More than 23,000 implant removal procedures are also reported in 2013. So if 300,000 went in and 23,000 came out, you're talking at a little under
What's that
10
percentage.
Well, let's see. If it was 30,000, that'd be 10%.
I
so
knew you would do that.
We're about 8%.
Did you guys know Steve was Rain Man?
No, I didn't know that. I have a daughter that does that.
He's very
It's
analytical.
pretty crazy. So I hope that number was right after you just bragged about me. But so the point is that it's not surprising that there's a lot of issues. And here's the stuff they don't tell you. I'm just going to kind of throw out the bullet points, and you get to elaborate.
Okay.
Because you were you went through some challenges, and I think. Do you want to talk about your challenges first, since I just asked you to, and then we'll talk about the statistics?
Sure. Having the breast implants put in, or
what
I think there are
happened?
lots of challenges. Okay, so probably about a few months after we got married, and we got married in 2012, I was diagnosed with a skin disorder, and I saw probably 7 or 8 doctors, ultimately ended up at Yale, New Haven, with a group of dermatologists there that were last resort dermatologists. And we have a picture, I think, and it's, I sent these pictures to my brother-in-law, who tried desperately to help me.
Do you have that one picture, George, of
it was
well, it's a breast.
It's
No.
Oh, I
Okay.
did said that. Okay.
Well, this is what happened. I'll continue
Sorry
to
for
talk.
all of the fans listening.
I had a rash that was all over my
And
body.
there's the rash picture too. We could bring that up.
I had a rash that was on my legs, somewhat on the trunk of my body and my arms, and I never thought I would wear short sleeves again. And did not know. It was a mystery. We had no idea why this had happened. Now, we were going through a lot, and I'm not 100% sure that it had anything to do with my implant, but I later had a defect in my implant and realized that there must have been something going on that caused this skin rash. So the skin rash was pretty ugly, and I think that George's is...
I found the breast.
All right. Well, we can show you what the
such a
defect
kid.
looks like in the breast implant on my breast, which is very
So
interesting.
I think George is bringing up the picture of the rash first. But, you know, we don't know why that rash came. But now reading what we're reading and learning about what we're learning with autoimmune disease, and I'm trying to jumping ahead in our story.
It's very real. Very real. There's a lot that happens. That's a terrible, scary picture. Is that live right
you know
now?
What? Yeah, it is
George?
live.
Wow.
And I'm proud of
need to
you
take that
for
off.
sharing. Yeah, let's bring that one down.
That was one of those
That's
pictures
better.
that okay. So, you know, I have to tell you, I sent this to my doctor up at Yale that did the breast augmentation about a month ago.
I think we've had enough of
And
that
you can
picture.
see the P in my
kidding.
breast on that picture. He wrote back, looks great to me, except for the P. And so one of the
bring that
things
back up a
that
sec?
they started telling me was that possibly during a mammography, because of what happens when you have a mammogram, you know, everything is sort of squeezed together, that there was a fold in the implant. That could have been a problem, but nobody ever said defect. I know it was a defect. So I wanted to know what recourse I had to the company that manufactured the implant. You have none. It was a $7,000 surgery going in to put it in. It was a $10,000 surgery coming out, which we just went through and paid for. It was a lot to
You know
remove
what? It's
that.
not, and here's the thing. You know, it's not just that the insurance companies don't pay for this, and that it's elective surgery, it's cosmetic surgery, but it's not just the $17,000. Think about this. We were driving down talking about this, and I didn't want to say this because I wanted to kind of bring this up spontaneously.
Maintenance, right?
How about forgetting the maintenance? How about all the time you were sick that you couldn't work, where you went to bed, the copays on your medical on prescriptions? How about the pain that you're in right now for the 2 weeks where you haven't been able to do anything? We were packing up and moving out of our one house into a new house, and you were really not in good shape, and yet you insisted on trying to do some things and probably, you know, hurt yourself a little bit there. All of that is not only financial but also emotional and physical, and all of that adds to the cost. And because if you can't work or if you're not feeling well, then you're not generating an income, you're not being yourself, you're not coaching, you're not seeing clients.
And
all
there
of
are
these
mysterious things that happen with breast implants, and they're out there. I mean, you can read scary stories. And I went into this thinking very positively, the way that I do about most things. That's not going to happen to me. And it was really, really alarming when I started to notice about a year ago, actually, my gynecologist felt something on my left breast. And she said, I want you to go have a mammogram done, and I want you to have a sonogram done. And I was really nervous at the time. And they said, no, you know, from what we can tell, they really can't see behind the implant, too. That's another thing that I want to mention for any women listening. You know, when you put something that obstructs the view of your breast tissue in your breast, you can't see if there's something growing in there. So that's the risk that you take. And not to mention the fact that a mammogram is even much more painful than having it done if you don't have
Well, I
breast
remember right
implants.
before you had to go in for the surgery a couple of weeks ago, they told you had to go in for a mammogram. And you were like, I'm not going.
I
I'm
thought
not
it was
going.
my right to say I don't want it. If I have a tumor or something cancerous, that I would deal with it myself. I just did not want to have a mammogram because I have strong feelings against, you know, how many times or how often I have any
and the
radiation
pain,
put
and
into
then
my
to think of
body
the pain
now.
on top of the implant. And ironically, you and I are having this conversation, and you're saying, I'm going to call the doctor and I'm going to cancel this mammogram. And then you went out, you had to go to a store right before your surgery, and you ended up having a conversation, and you didn't bring it up, but you were dealing with a female sales professional, and she turned to you and she said, I'm just not with it today. Because why?
I'm having a mammogram at 3:30 today, and I said, I'm having one done at 4:30, and I could hear the fear and the anxiety in her voice. And I knew exactly what she was thinking because I walked around that entire day thinking, I am going to get squashed and it's going to hurt.
And
so
it could
much.
do damage to the implant.
And
that's something they don't talk about.
I was already in pain. I think it's important to say that. But the surgeons didn't care. I had to have a mammogram.
Let me just run through some of the complications that nobody tells you about when you're dealing with this. This is some of the stuff I took from the articles that I read. First off, you're dealing with common complications include infection and other surgical risks, including chronic breast pain, breast or nipple numbness, breakage, leakage, the need for additional surgery, cosmetic problems such as people being dissatisfied with the way they look post-surgery, and in some cases, you're dealing with women who maybe it doesn't feel right, it feels hard, it feels uncomfortable, they don't like the way it looks, and so you go in for this augmentation, you go to look beautiful, and then you don't feel comfortable with your body, and so your level of intimacy with your partner could also change. And so all of these things are the risks nobody talks about.
There are so many variables. It's unbelievable. And if you go online and you look at Google the breast implant that you're going to use or that you have in your body, you can download a PDF document with all of the risks and all of the issues that you could encounter. They have to disclose those. And when I looked at mine just 2 or 3 months ago, and I didn't look at it before I had it put in, I was blown away by the percentages of people with problems.
Let me read some of those percentages to you. 46% of women with silicone gel implants and 21% with saline implants underwent at least one reoperation within 36 months, 3 years. 25% of silicone patients and 8% of saline patients had the implants removed. That's 1 in 4 removals.
And silicone, I think, is the more popular these days. And it was just approved by the FDA, who we all know.
Well, 6% of silicone patients and 16% of saline patients experience breast pain. I'm just looking at our clock. I have so much we want to talk about. So what about when they break? I mean, there's they're telling you what's the lifespan?
Not will they break? They will break.
What is the average lifespan?
The average lifespan is between 7 and 12 years. Now, I had mine for 5 years, and I think that in year 3.5, mine started to go wrong. I think that I had leakage, and I think that that's probably the reason why I developed a skin disorder, which was also diagnosed as an autoimmune disease. My body temperature is always, I run cold. I mentioned that before I came in. You all were saying that it's kind of hot in here today, and I said, wow, I'm comfortable, so it must be warm. These are all autoimmune issues.
Look, this article I'm holding up in my hand says that most women had at least one broken implant within 11 years, and the likelihood of a rupture increases every year. And what about silicone migrating outside?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I have a neighbor here in Florida in the community where we just bought our house who also had her breast implants removed, and she's just such a sweetheart. And we're not talking about women that, want to look like they're dancing in a club at night. I mean, we're talking about women that want to look just a little bit enhanced. She's a real Christian woman. She's amazing. She's a mom of 3. She's just adorable. And she had her breast implants removed. And went through a nightmare, found a doctor in Atlanta that she totally, totally loved, who does a thorough job with women. When you have them removed, you have to make sure that the doctor that is going to remove them is going to look at the lymph nodes. You have to have a pathology done to make sure that you don't have a malignancy in there. It's really important to have them done the right way.
So, I'm looking
Remove,
here,
that is.
And it talks about a study of 52 women who had silicone gel-filled implants, and symptoms such as autoimmune issues, fatigue, muscle and joint pain, found that the majority of them, when the implants were removed, started to see a better...
Yeah.
Well, I know you said this earlier in the show, but I can't tell you, in our listening audience, how many times when I will come home from a meeting, especially now that we live here in Florida, and I'll have normally we drink out of these glass water bottles. We have a filter at home, and we filter our own water and bring it with us. But once in a while, I get stuck on the road and I buy a bottle of water. And you look at me and you say, how could you drink out of a plastic bottle? All the chemicals leach.
Well, I think you were thirsty and didn't have a choice.
Right, but what I'm talking about now is the
I
fact
know.
that when I turned to you that night and I said, when you were saying, should we do this, should we not? And I said, obviously it's up to you what you do if you want to have this removal or not. But, here you are telling everybody don't drink out of plastic bottles, and yet you have
plastic implants in my body. What a contradiction, right? But so I believe in everything that I'm about now. It's real and authentic, and that's it. I try to keep it as simple as possible. I mean, I still love to look really nice, and that doesn't mean that I'm piercing my nose or piercing my belly button
beautiful.
or doing anything crazy. I've never been like that. No tattoos on this body. I would never do that.
Well, you know what? The second half of your life, baby. You still got time.
I did belly button ring removal last week. If you ask me, that, I forgot all about that. A female friend couldn't get her belly button ring. I had to take needle nose pliers, 2 pair, and then
How'd
screw
that
it.
go?
It was
You know
in
the
there.
crazy thing?
Success.
He's serious.
Never done that before.
Did you sterilize it first?
Well, I wasn't. No,
pliers.
No, or the belly button. But I did have to put on my reading glasses because it was in there.
Oh my goodness. Well,
That's
you see,
funny.
that's the issue. You try to do the enhancement, and there's
When
always-
we're young, we all pierce our ears. We do crazy things like that, or at least I know I did. We all did, right?
Right. Well, her body was rejecting it, so she had to have it done. She was about to go to the doctor.
Oh my
She should have
goodness.
used titanium.
No, it was just like it was starting to grow out, like getting ejected.
And you're serious, aren't you?
Oh,
he's
yeah,
very
absolutely.
Normally,
Oh, my
George may not
goodness.
be serious, but
I don't have to
say
make
that
anything up. I feel
George's life is pretty
I
crazy.
rein it
Mark.
in on the show. Yeah, I have to hold a lot back.
Right on the CEOmanship show, George is very well behaved. I want to just read something else because this is really crazy. A National Cancer Institute study found that women who had breast implants for at least 12 years were more likely to die from brain tumors, lung cancer, and other respiratory diseases, as well as suicide, as compared to other plastic surgery patients. Augmentation patients were not more likely to smoke than other plastic surgery patients, so the difference in respiratory disease did not appear to be due to smoking. And then you have the whole issue. Our time is running out. I'm looking at the clock. We only have a few minutes. I mean, there's the whole issue of breastfeeding and how important that is. You talked about the cost.
I wanted to at least touch on mammographies because that's really important. It's very important to continue to have those. But I also want to say that breast implant, I want to say it again, I know I said it already, is going to camouflage or hide what's really going on in your breast tissue. So, we make decisions at certain times in our lives based on whatever is going on or how we might feel. And, you never really think you're going to be at risk. And just like in a relationship, right, Steve?
Yes.
You never think that relationship is going to go bad when
Are you
when
giving
you
me
get
a
married.
hint
No,
here?
no, not ours. We know we would never go through that again. We both have agreed. We have a pact. We would never want to go through that again.
That is true.
But, never, always prepare. And I think that, you make decisions at certain times in your life, and then later on you have to be okay with them.
Yeah, let's talk about preparation for a minute, because so now I'm going to bring this back down to Lori Gordon, simplylorigordon.com on the internet, and people can look at your website. They can book time with you. And when you were preparing for your surgery, you did certain things pre-surgery and post-surgery to not only go in feeling stronger, but also to come out and heal faster. So if somebody's going through something, whether it's just to try to get their life better, or somebody's going through an issue, maybe they're facing surgery, or they're like I do, they're on airplanes all the time. What are some of the things that you would,
Well, I
tell
was
somebody?
preparing as if I was about to run a marathon for the first time. And I knew probably 3 weeks before that I was scheduled to have the surgery. Not only did I tell the surgeon that I wanted to be his first patient at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning after he had a restful weekend, and I knew to ask that question or to tell him that I wanted to be in that position in his day. I started taking tons of vitamin C and immune support vitamins. There are certain vitamins that you can't take before a surgery, those that are blood thinning, like omega-3s, any kind of antioxidants. But I was absolutely preparing with food. I kept on making all sorts of vegetable drinks and was really giving my body everything that it needed so that I could heal properly. And I think that all of that is very, very important. I mean, you don't want to eat badly and have lots of carbs and not have any real food. And when I say not real food, I mean anything that comes in a package or anything that has a shelf life, and that includes bread. I always tell my clients to buy bread fresh, maybe at Whole Foods or at a bakery. And if it lasts only 3 days, well, then, maybe you didn't eat it enough, or you just need to eat half of it. But anything that comes in a package or has an expiration date, I will not eat anymore on a regular basis.
So going into the surgery, I know you did a lot of juicing. And you took a lot of your vitamins.
Totally. Did a lot of juicing. I did a lot of breathing exercises to calm me down. I did it when I came out of surgery. I remember I opened my eyes. It was 4 hours later. It was a 2.5-hour surgery. Last thing I remember is the anesthesiologist saying, I'm going to make you relax and calm you down. And I woke up and I said, where's my husband?
I was right there by your side, baby.
The one thing that I'd like you to tell the audience is where your surgery was performed, not necessarily that it was a hospital, but it was done as an outpatient.
It was an outpatient.
That's scary.
Well, it's not so scary as it was. I remember literally when the surgery was over, I met Lori, and they
dumped at the curb.
Pretty much, not by me, not by the doctor.
Well, they brought me down in a wheelchair, but I was dumped at the curb.
You were home within a couple of hours.
It was actually a great place, but that's the way it's done today, and
right,
that's a different show. I mean, we can talk about healthcare and where we're at, but no, I could have stayed in the hospital for 2 days. I could have checked myself into a hotel for a week to rest, which I probably should have done. I really needed to be alone and rest, because even as we sit here today, Steve, I feel like I have about 100 pounds on my chest, and it's hard for me to sit up straight. So, but that's going away every day, and that's just par for the course right now. And, I definitely walk the walk and talk the talk with my holistic practice.
You do. And so let's use that as an opportunity to, again, share with people. If you're interested in contacting Lori Gordon or working with a holistic health coach, if you need any type of support in terms of how to eat properly, or you're dealing with some health issues, you can go to Simply Lori, Lori Gordon, Gordon, simplylorigordon.com. I love the recipe section, and so people can find out there.
Too.
They can press the contact you button, and they can send you a request for information. I'm sure you'll get right back to them. They can also reach you on Simply Lori Gordon on Facebook.
Yes, they can.
And so I know that you post a lot up there. The reason that we wanted this show today on CEOmanship is because, again, there are so many professionals out there in upper level management, in business owners, CEOs, upper sales management, that may feel compelled to have to compete not only on the educational level and on the workload level, but also on the physical appearance level. And while by no means are we saying that it's not the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, I think you just wanted people to understand, to really understand the long term.
To research your decision and make sure that you understand the long-term ramifications of what you're doing. There is a lot of maintenance involved in breast implants, and that was the topic of the show today. And that's something that your doctor isn't going to talk to you about. I mean, let's face it, he's a salesperson.
Well, and the reality is that I think that, like you said earlier on, people go in with the front end vision of, I really want to look bigger, fix my nose, fix my eyes, fix my face, have, bigger breasts, smaller breasts, whatever. And that's, they're not thinking about the long-term ramifications. And so all I think you're saying again is just go in with your eyes wide open, not eyes wide shut, and understand that everything that we do, there is an action and an equal opposite reaction.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at the clock, and we've got just a couple of minutes left. Lori, thank you for coming into the studio. I loved having you here. I love you. And I think you look amazing. And I know it's been 2 weeks, and you are not feeling great, and yet you did an amazing job. So as you always do, thank you.
Thank you.
And I would love for you to come back, and I'm sure our audience would too, because there are so many things we can talk about. It's my pleasure.
I'm full of topics.
You are. How come when you say I'm full of something, it's never just topics? Anyway, once again, my name is Steve Gordon, and I am the CEO of the Gordon Partnership Group. That's GordonPartnership.com. We are coming to a hard close in a little bit. On Facebook, it's Gordon Partnership. Instagram, Gordon Partnership. LinkedIn, search for Steve Gordon, Gordon Partnership. On iTunes, you can get this episode and all past episodes and future episodes delivered right to your pod, your electronic device. Just search the podcast library on iTunes for CEOmanship. And of course, my website and Lori's website is GordonPartnership.com. We will be back next Monday. Certainly I will. Hope you'll be back at least on the phone, because I love having you as a guest and a partner. I love you as a wife.
Love
Mark
you too.
Anoff, thank you for everything. And thanks for not making fun of our family and telling Thanksgiving stories. I'll give you the $20 later. George?
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. We'll be back. Steve Gordon, CEOmanship on SoFloRadio.com.
Live from the beautiful city of Hollywood, Florida, USA. This is SoFloRadio.com.